Whether you're starting a business with a family member or bringing on a buddy to help you grow your budding company, figuring out how to divvy up the ownership among those involved can be tricky business. When one person is contributing the idea and others bring cold hard cash, it's hard to know how to be fair. So here to show us how to split up the equity pie is small business expert Monica Mehta. Hello, Monica. Great to see you again.
Tanya, it's great to be here.
So there are some good reasons, before we get into all the cautionary tales, there are some good reasons to go into business with a partner, right?
Absolutely. You can't do everything yourself, so just forget about it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of ingredients to making a successful business, including the capital, the contacts, the networking, and sales. And if you don't have any parts of those key ingredients, a partner can really complete the scene for you.
Right. And you suggest, when you're thinking about splitting up the equity pie, thinking like an investor. Is that right?
Absolutely. It's easy for someone when they're starting a business to come up with rationale as to why what they're contributing is more valuable than what other people can be contributing. And so by finding a third-party benchmark, you can find a way to take all of the individual haggling back and forth out of the picture and just focus on benchmarks that actually work. So for example, investors will look at the capital that they're placing against the idea and the sales and how far that the company has come along with product development to figure out what are all of these components worth. And this is a perfect way for partners, whether they're seeking cash or not, to think about starting a business.
Right, absolutely. Now how much is the idea of the business really worth? You're the idea person, but like you said, it's a little easier to inflate your own importance. Is that enough to make you own most of the business?
Absolutely not. The idea is actually worth a lot less than you would think. With some of the best ideas that have been out there in the past 20 years, take Facebook or Google for example, the founders of those businesses did not see a premium for their great idea until the round C or D, which is the third or fourth time they went out to go get financing from investors. So a good rule of thumb is that if you have the idea, you're likely not going to keep more than 5% of the company just for that idea.
Wow, so keep that in mind, because that's a much smaller percentage than I think a lot of people would realize.
That's right.
Now, you suggest against a 50-50 split. Is that right?
A 50-50 split is very convenient, and it can feel like a good thing to do because you can avoid all of the difficult conversations that come with trying to figure out, hey, what's my idea worth? What are your contacts worth? But a 50-50 split can cause a standstill when it comes to decision making. So when two partners are getting along, a 50-50 split is just fine. But when you're not getting along, it can stop you from making really critical decisions for your business.
Well, give us an example, because let's say it's your idea, but like you said, so you take hypothetically 30% of the business and the person putting up the money takes 70%. It's your idea, so how does it work if they're making all the decisions?
Generally, you can split a company in a way such that certain decisions are made by mutual unanimous agreement and other decisions are made based on who owns the company. So just because one person owns 70% and one person owns 30% doesn't mean that the partner that only has 30% isn't going to have a significant say in the company.
Right.
It's all about figuring out how do we make decisions, which decisions are based on who owns most of the company, maybe those are the financial decisions, and which decisions are based on both of us as partners being on the same page.
Sounds like, though, it's important to get lawyered up.
It is important to think through all of the critical issues before you engage with a partner. It's just like getting married, and when a marriage ends, it gets messy, and when a business ends, it also gets very messy. A lawyer can help you think through all of the critical details. If you can't afford a lawyer, you can also consider finding an operating agreement. An operating agreement will help you think through all of the critical issues, and maybe you can answer a lot of these questions for yourself.
So it's just not enough to kind of look someone in the eye and give them a handshake. You really need a little bit more than that.
You can give someone a handshake, but you both may be crying a couple months down the road.
Right. So you get a contract in order. Now, with or without a partner, do you recommend running a cash business?
A cash business can complicate things even further, depending on who's the one that's taking care of the bookkeeping, who's the one who's handling the cash. I think we've all seen or heard about stories where partnerships have just fallen apart. It's someone you trust, it's someone you really feel like can take care of you, and they just, money makes the whole relationship fall apart. So.
Absolutely. Now, when choosing a partner, you know, sometimes you want to go into business with someone that you know really well, or a friend, because that seems comfortable, but is that actually not a good idea?
There's pluses and minuses to starting a business with a friend. Starting a business with a friend is great, just as you mentioned, because you have that connection. But oftentimes with friends and with family members, there's a greater expectation than working with someone that you don't know as well. They may expect a little more leniency than, say, a coworker or someone you've done business with in the past. It's always a good idea to treat all of these relationships professionally, and as we mentioned before, document everything.
That's right. Any other red flags when choosing a partner to look out for?
Generally, the golden rule is a good litmus for you. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. And if you're finding someone that's not really treating you with the same kind of respect that you would extend to them, that's a big red flag.